Good morning. We are in middle of Os Yud Beis and talking about the soul as it departs, as it separates from the human being, from the physical, I should say, from the physical body. And he says that there is a loss. There is a loss as long as we're in this world. The soul is not able to do what it needs to do to the body, and therefore the soul is not able to do what it needs to do to the body. And he continues this Amnam. We're somewhere in the middle of the 12th piece. Amnam gam hi mafsedes. The soul also loses out by not being able to impact the body. In other words, not just the body that's losing out. In Tona, we've spoken about the fact that since Adam sinned, the body is incapable of attaining its level. So far the focus has been on the body, that as long as the world is in its corrupt state, before it's Chiyas HaMesim, before the rejuvenation of the world, the body's losing out. But he points out that it's the soul that's also losing out. Why? The fact is that since it's limited, it's also not able to shine properly. And it's there also not able to do what it's supposed to do, which is the purification of the body. In other words, it's not only the body that's losing out by not being able to be transformed. The soul is also losing out because it's stifled. In other words, there's nothing worse than a person, you can imagine a person who's sitting in some setting and unable to say everything they want to say and unable to be the type of person that they want to be. The soul is stuck in a uncomfortable, stifling setting because it's not able to do what it wants to do, what it needs to do, what it's set up to do. Okay? Again, as we said, had it been able to do what it was supposed to do, it would also impact the soul, not just the body. The soul would be good, would be elevated through the act of perfecting. Because one of the actions, or one of the expressions of perfection is the ability to perfect others. In other words, in as much as, the entirety of his philosophical perspective of the creation of the world is that God created the world to do good to others, and part of the world is that part of the idea of the world is we're supposed to emulate God and do good to others. The soul is created with the function of elevating others. And as long as we live in this imperfect world, the soul is unable to do that ideal thing of impacting others. It's its natural state to be impacting positively on the body. That's why it was created. And every being, everything that's created becomes more perfect when it does what it's supposed to do. Over here, as long as we live in a world of imperfection, the soul is limited in the sense that it can't do what it needs to do. However, when the soul goes to the world of souls, again, Gan Eden, Gehenim, it's no longer stifled, it's able to express itself, it's able to be free. It's able to shine the way it needs to shine according to its deeds, and all the spirituality that it attains while it's there, it gets strengthened. In other words, when you're constantly stifled, you weaken yourself. Let's just think psychologically. If a person's in a setting where they never can say what they want to say, they can never be the person they want to be, you feel, you crumble. You stop being who you need to be. And therefore, when the soul is in Olam HaNeshamos, it's able to now get back to a reality where it's able to be itself, so to speak. And therefore, when it comes back to the body, at the resurrection of the dead, then it'll be able to do what it's supposed to do, the purification that was necessary. So again, what he's describing over here is not only is the body losing out by the fact that we live in an imperfect world, the soul is losing out because the soul, not only is the body not able to attain its ultimate level, but the soul is unable to do what it needs to do. The soul is able to express itself properly, and therefore it's stifled. In Olam HaNeshamos, the soul gets rejuvenated, because the fact that now it's not limited. It's not constricted like the soul is in this world, and therefore it actually comes back into the world in a much stronger sense when we have Tchiyas HaMesim. Okay.